available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
All right, 22 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in, Robin. This afternoon we have a gig, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We have a gig, and you have a cold.
Yep.
The one thing, and for those who don't know what we mean by gigs, we do shows usually at nursing homes.
Yeah.
and it's always a pain when one of us gets a cold, isn't it?
Yep.
Dr. Janet Angel may be able to help you with this. She is a nutritional biochemist, wellness expert. Maybe she can tell you, here's the problem with doing a radio show and telling people you have a cold.
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you what to do about your cold.
That's right.
Everybody will.
That's why I'm secret.
It's hard to hide it, though, when you sound the way you do. Dr. Angel is going to give us some steps for taming our gluten sensitivity. And let's see what that's about. Obtaining vibrant health. Good morning, Dr. Angel. Good morning.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Robin.
Where are you?
I'm in Chicago.
In Chicago. How's the weather?
We had a beautiful day yesterday, and today another surprisingly beautiful day.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's good.
Finally, snow's gone.
So let me ask you about this gluten thing. I never remember hearing about gluten when I was younger. How long ago did this word enter our vocabulary?
It seems to be in the last 10 years. It's really gotten more prevalent, and probably not that it hasn't occurred earlier in our lives, but, we didn't really think about these kinds of things back, I know, when I was a child, and perhaps for you as well. But people always had upsets. They had digestive upsets and all kinds of symptomatology, but no one really put their finger on it. And really, there are two classifications of people suffering out there, both of you. There are individuals who are truly allergic to a molecule, and there are people who are sensitized. And sensitized because they probably have had one kind of food too often in their lives. And if you look at our nation, what do we eat a lot of? Grains.
And that's not good? We were all my life, I was told whole wheat bread is where to go.
I know,
that's
me
right.
too.
And cereal.
It's true. Yeah, and you look at what we eat all the day and have from the time we're children. Now, some people are able to eat pretty much anything they want to eat, and they get away with it for their entire lives, like my mom, who's 98. She can eat like rocks, I think, and she'd be fine. But there are some people who have a more sensitive digestive tract, and as we age, we lose the production of enzymes. And when we do, we don't know which enzymes are going to go first, and it depends on what we're using up. And for us, especially in America, we tend to use up the enzymes that break down our grains before anything else.
Okay, so does that mean we're not designed to eat grains? Is that what that means, or are we doing something in the processing in order to make bread, etc.?
Oh, you are smart, absolutely smart fellow here. Yes, we are definitely changing molecules, and people do that because it's probably making more money in some way along the line. However, what happens when we change molecules, we have these modified food forms. The body doesn't recognize some of these food forms as food any longer, and so your body will launch an attack, like there's an invader coming to be, and so there's a lot of inflammation that can take place. Those individuals who have a really strong chemistry and very strong digestive tract, well, their body can break down more of these elements. But for those who are a little bit more sensitive, they cannot. And that's what happens. They're called CICs, circulating immune complexes, that get into the bloodstream through the intestinal lining. And, you have a person who suddenly says, oh, my God, I blow up when I eat wheat, or I get, dark circles under my eyes, or I have headaches. And all these things occur because your body's reacting to something that it can't deal with.
Sometimes people have to use grains as fillers to make meals stretch because they can't afford to just use just meat. Like meatloaf is a good example. Sometimes people will put breadcrumbs in there, stuff like that, to make the meatloaf bigger because they don't have enough money to buy more meat.
That's very true, and that can be fine for a while. But what happens with us generally is that we tend to go for the same foods all the time, and when you do that, your body gets tired of working on that particular food. So moderation and variety is really the spice of life, because it gives your body a break from having to break down a certain food form every day that you live.
Oh, okay. So you're not saying to do away with it totally, or are you?
No, I'm not saying to do away with it, no. Unless you really are an allergen sufferer, where you really would be a celiac kind of disease person. There are two different kinds of reactions, like I said. Okay, so but for the most part of people today that are suffering, they just have become sensitized because our diets are overburdened with grains, and especially wheat, rye, and barley. Those are the culprits most often because that's where gluten is. But also know this, gluten hides in so many different foods you never even realize it. For instance, would you think gluten would be in soy sauce? It is. Do you think gluten would be in toothpaste? It is. It's hiding. And, little bits of these molecules still get into the body, and so you can't really do away with it anyway. You've got to learn, you've got to give yourself what you need to deal with it, and then just be real smart and rotate your foods. Don't go down the same aisle every day. Don't eat the same kind of bread every day. Change up the grains. There are grains that are wonderfully fine for everyone to eat. Just don't eat the same thing every day.
Okay, so maybe this is a dumb question, but is corn a grain?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's not really a grain, but it is a vegetable, but it is used like a grain, and it does not have gluten in it, so that's a smart one. Rice is another one.
Okay.
Yeah, quinoa, another one. There's some that are out there that you're seeing more now. Have you seen in your area quinoa? A lot of people are starting to add that in restaurants.
Oh, what is that?
Well, it's another kind of a grain. It's an ancient grain, kind of like amaranth. But quinoa doesn't really have gluten in it, and you'll see it instead of rice in a lot of restaurants in Chicago. It's popping up everywhere.
It looks like rice.
Yeah, kind of. Well, a little bit. It kind of maybe like a couscous look, except smaller grain. And it tastes, really nice. It's fine. There's nothing strange about it. And so that's a good alternative for people who want a rice on the side, or you're going to make bread. And there's lots of things you can do to stop the, high increase of the cost of being a gluten intolerant person. It's hugely expensive. If you look in the grocery store, it's 3 times the cost. Sometimes when you see, this is gluten free. Really? Well, it's $10 instead of $3, and
so
it's a shame.
When you mentioned about enzymes, does what was it called? Yogurt. Does yogurt help with the enzyme issue?
Oh, it sure does, actually. Although yogurt really isn't meant to give you enzymes, it does give you probiotics, which is one of the points that I talk about. It's really critical to supporting health because your immune system sits in the gut. And without the friendly bacteria there to help you out, the body's really innately wise. It gives you all the way down to the digestive tract a chance to do something right.
Okay.
So probiotics, besides being friendly for bacteria, they also manufacture vitamins and enzymes.
Doctor, we are absolutely out of time. I apologize. Is the website naturesources.com?
It is.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Boston strong, the message loud and clear with the Boston Marathon underway, a year after the bombings that killed 3 and hurt 260. While security is tight, Police Commissioner William Evans says,
you don't want people coming to the race and being intimidated by, officers out there with rifles or with their tactical gear on it.
450 officers, uniformed and in plain clothing, are on duty. 4 more crew members being held in the sinking of that South Korean ferry, in addition to the captain and 2 other crew members.
South Korea's president